And we should now be live. Hello everyone and welcome to today's Blender experimental testing episode. Today I am playing with this jacket formation effect, which you may have seen on my socials today. It's a cool effect that I've been developing, and this is one version where I just decided, let's put a little bit of polish on this, make it actually work in a scene with an actual object. So I had this shirt object a while ago. I was like, you know what? It already has the seams put into it using another geometry node that I have over here, but that one's not important. But with those seams, I can make it so that the formation algorithm works very well, because the way that this works, I'll do a brief summary once more people join into the stream. So just one moment. Just need to check that everything's okay with it. This is highly experimental, but it works better than I originally thought it would. But yeah, the way that this works is essentially each vertice tries to look at its parent according to a gradient. So let me turn on the wireframe so that we can see this. Each vertice tries to look at their parent, and then according to that gradient, they try to go towards their parent with some rotation. There's a lot of math behind it. This is one of the cleaner versions because this is, again, very experimental. But in the end, it works pretty well. There's still bugs. Like over here, we can see that there's a fair bit of stretching, which is not great, but it's good enough for my purposes at this time. Actually, one thing that I want to test is, can I separate just... Oh, wait. Separate geometry. I want to just separate the edges so that we can see what's happening kind of under the hood. To selection. Edge paths to selection. There we go. So if we do this, we should see... Let's see if this breaks a ton. Okay, so here we can see what the algorithm is actually seeing, which looks pretty cool. Where this part back here, it goes and unfolds kind of like a plant. But we can see here why there would be a stretching problem with this. With this, it goes and unfolds, but the problem is that it doesn't take into account these connections. It doesn't try to keep in line with its other parents. So it looks really cool, but when it's meshed, it leads to just a few little problems. Sometimes. I need to experiment with other methods of making this work, but for the time being, it's pretty cool. Today, what I want to try before working on those optimizations, I'll probably do those off stream, is that I want to try to add in a simulation layer on top of this. Now, I'm not sure if this will work, which is why, I'm streaming. These are the experiments. But it looks pretty cool. I'm quite happy with how it turned out. It looks very fancy, which is what I was going for. So now, I'll try to add in a simulation layer. So we already have the animation part. This is the non-simulation version. It just goes and does what it's supposed to do. But now I want to make it so that on top of that, there will be a little bit of physics, so that some of this will look a little bit more natural, and maybe it'll fix a little bit of that stretching. We will see. So to do that, oh yeah, and I should also show, if I turn off the rotation, those issues don't really happen anymore with the stretching. I mean, it kind of does. If I were to turn off the little post blur over here, we can see that the stretching does still happen a bit. Let me turn on the wireframe. Yeah, there we go. So I need to find a way of making the vertex parents a little more fluid, if that makes sense. Making it so that they don't do a very harsh algorithm and all that. Because it looks cool, but it's just a little too harsh for my liking. And then we can, again, add in the rotations, which are still in development. Yeah. So that's why I have the smoothing pass on top, just to make it look not quite as glitchy and terrible. So let's go and try to add a simulation layer to this. So I will use a let's use a simulation zone. Simulation zone. I just want to see how this will look. So I will use store named attribute, you know, the standard velocity setup. Set position. Let's set this to vector, this to point, that's good. Set this to vel. Named attribute, let's go and plug that into here. Set this to vector. Copy. Set that to the offset. So now with our velocity, I want to make it so that the gradient that is on this coat, oh, and I keep forgetting that materials get completely wiped in simulation nodes. That'll be like this for all of 3.6 and 4.0 because that's been pushed back. The fix for that has been pushed back even further, which is very, very unfortunate to see. But the gradient that we have here that I'm using for this lighting, I can go and make it so that the physics only applies to that area, so that's not wobbling around in its final place. So with this, we can see as soon as the simulation happens, it freezes. So we need to get the moving position by using the sample index node, just like this. Since the jacket shares the same vertices, we can go and use the index to sample the current. Let me get that again. We can use the live position and then make it so that the algorithm, tries to go there. So to do that, we need to get the velocity to there. If we plug this into just the output, we'll see that works perfectly. Which you may be wondering, wait, isn't there something special supposed to be happening? And yes, but at the moment, all I'm doing is taking the actual offset to the live moving mesh and then applying it to the simulation, meaning that it is working perfectly. Too perfect. So what I need to do is make it so that that gets added to this velocity, and I need to implement some scales so that it won't teleport there in just one frame. So this will make it so that I'll go half the distance. So here we can see the wobbling is occurring, and it's not doing quite what we want. So let's go and add in some of that. And we also need to make it so that as soon as, let's see, I can add in a mix node. So that when, oh, I need to get the dynamic, that's unfortunate. So I may need two pieces of dynamic data. One that is the position, being live, and another which is the gradient. So if I get the gradient, which I think I very creatively just labeled G, again, this is experimental. Let's set this to float, plug this into here. I'm doing everything very quickly, so it will be messy. I apologize for that. But here we'll just mix between this velocity and then just the offset. So we just want that and that. So I'll label this offset, and this will be gradient. Oop, there we go. So this will make it so that I'll swap between the wobbly velocity and just the offset. So that when this works as intended, I think it's 100% inverted. Yes, it is. Let's go and flip that around. So here we should see that, yeah, it seems to be working in the sense that, yeah, it's doing that, and then when it gets closer to the end, it is completely fine. Though I do want to see, maybe if I make this a little less influential, it'll have a bit more wobble to it. So when it's set to 1, it mixes to the no wibbly wobbly stuff. So I need to set this to like 0.25, and then maybe that'll give us some more wiggle room. Yeah, we're getting a wave now, which I want it to be a little more effective, so maybe I'll use a blur the previous velocity. Let's see what happens then. And maybe I'll set the dampening down by a significant amount. That is not what I want to be happening, but it's showcasing the effects. So let me set this to like 0.2 to 0.25. Yeah, I was thinking this would look a bit better. We are experimenting, so we'll see just how bad or good it can look. Like, yeah, not a big fan of that. Not a big fan. It's trying to go back to the original position, but it's having a really fun time with it. Let me use a power node, because this might give us a better fall off between... No, that makes it more harsh. Trying to make it so that the transition from the dynamic part to the non-dynamic is a little bit more fluid. So let me turn off the gravity, so that we just see that. Dampening on. Like, I thought it would be fine until... Well, maybe I can set up something smart so that only the rotation changes. I'm not sure if that would work, but maybe it would. Like, my goal is to make it look like it's an actual jacket that is doing the wobble part. Do I need to make it so that it's just really good at going to where it should be and then it just overcorrects? Let's see this. Let's set this to like 0.25. Blur the velocity before it goes back in. Let's see. Like, that's very smooth. A little too smooth. Sorry if the bitrate is being crushed by the wireframe. And the materials are wiped. Little workaround for simulation nodes. If you want it so that the materials are saved, only if the object has the same indices as it was before the simulation, you can just transfer the position to the actual geometry, and it will work. It's a workaround, but that's what we have to do because the simulation bug got pushed. The fix for it got pushed back again. So yeah, now we have that applied. But something's still very much not right about the... Like, the velocity is just not properly being taken into account. Like, there was a little bit, if I go back in the cache. It's like, do, and then it does a little bit of that, and then it goes back into place. Let me set it to 0.95. Kind of. Let me set this to 0.1. Feels almost like it's too grand of an effect. So let's go and tone that down. Ah, yes, Jello. That is not what I'm going for. So let me tone that down and tone this up. Like, that kind of looks like lava at this point. Which, again, not what I'm going for, but cool nonetheless. Let's bump it up even higher. Let's set it to just one. Oh, nope. Like, I highly dislike that. Like, Like, some data should be lost, but I'm wondering what I'm missing with the cloth styling for the effect. I think I need to... I don't know. We will see. Let me read the chat real quick. So again, without the simulations, it looks perfect, but I want more dynamics. So yeah, let me read the chat. So again, that's what it looks like normally, which may be good enough. But I want to try taking it just the extra step. Are you going to do any November prompts? Maybe. At the moment, I'm just like, I'm doing quite a few projects at the moment in terms of work and other stuff, so I might not be doing November because that, to me, it might feel like another job to do, like another task for the day. Well, at the moment, I'm just like, I'm just working on what I'm working on, if that makes sense. So maybe I don't know the prompts, so I'll have to look back at that. Maybe, but probably not. I love this effect you've been developing. Why, thank you. Yeah, there are multiple versions of this, so I will showcase those after I try to figure out how to make this one work. We will see. But yeah, it is cool. It is quite cool. Yeah, one thing I could try... No, but that would basically... Like the simulation, I'm not sure if it can work well with this situation unless I put in a lot more effort to do like a proper cloth simulation on top of it, which at the moment I don't really feel like doing. Like I don't like that look for it. So let's just go and... So if the velocity is too high, then it does that. But if it's too low, we don't see any of the kind of cloth ripples. That looks neat. Doesn't need seams. The seams are added in... they're in the model already. Like here, wherever you see these, that's where the seams are. I have a procedural system that does that. Whenever I use the subdivision crease, it'll do a seam. But the thing is, I need to make it so that some of the seams are eliminated so that this part can, like, transfer over, if that makes sense. And then the seams just get stitched up after the fact, which is really cool. But yeah, I've been wanting to make an effect like this for a while. I'm gonna not do the simulations for the time being just because... And I'm going to show again just the edges of the simulation. So again, if we use the edge paths to selection node, there we go. Let's set this to be that and that into there. We'll see the kind of parenting hierarchy, which does that, which has its perks and bugs, because we can see what the algorithm is seeing is just the parenting hierarchy. So these parts being meshed, it doesn't take into account, which is unfortunate. It looks cool as is, but then when we actually look at the meshed part, it means that there is stretching that occurs. So I'm trying to find ways to avoid that, but so far, nothing too concrete just yet. Let's see. Would be awesome to rebuild the human body in layers. That would look very, very... unnerving, I guess pun intended in that case. But seeing the human body be unrolled might be a little, too visceral for some people. One part of the algorithm that I want to implement, which I will showcase right here, is if I use the edge vertices node, and I get the distance between position 1 and position 2. That'll give us a better distance, which may help in terms of the unrolling, but as we can see, that breaks the It breaks the loop index for the rolling. So if I multiply this by a lot, it might actually work. Yeah, get spaghettified. So it kind of works in the sense that if I separate the edge paths, separate geometry, to selection, but I will showcase the other face rolling things. Sorry, to selection. Let me go down to this one. So if we use this, we should see that the algorithm is a lot more straightforward. Still very circuit based. But now we can see that it's choosing the actual shortest path instead of just like the grid pattern, which should lead to better results. But unfortunately, it just leads to glitches because it doesn't take into account, like, if I go here, the vertices don't go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It just uses the distance, which is not great for the end result. So let me go and... if I multiply this by a ton, it might actually work, but it'll probably be extremely laggy. So it looks like... actually, wait a minute. Let's take a look at this. Oh, it's that... wow. Oh, whoa. It's actually not working horribly. Even the rotation... wow, okay. Not the worst. The only thing I would need to change is an optimization and also bug fixing. Why on earth that's happening? Because that should not be occurring. It's actually giving more... it's giving better results for the time being. It'll give errors because it's not giving the... interesting. Okay. So yeah, there will be some vertices that do not accurately get the proper distance, but this is giving us better results. Let me check on you. This part is one that's just situated on the arm. So if we do that, and then... okay, it's having... we do that, it's just do-do-do, and then do-do-do. Here, let me turn that off again. So it's that, and then do-do-do. That was one of the test ones. So it could, like, that's a beautiful curve right there. Which feels... nope, still some glitching, but we'll see about that. Let's go check the viewer once again. Where's the thing? Let's check the algorithm. Ah, that explains it. Yep. So I'll have to test that a bit more. But I want to showcase the... let me switch over to the other project. File open. Let's see, where is the face rolling? Here we go. Okay. So this is a similar version of the effect, except it's similar but different. So with this one, if we look at the result here, it takes the faces and then unrolls them. Now this one is more accurate because it accurately splits every single seam. It's done on the faces. So we don't have to worry about, oh, is there any stretching, because each face is treated like its own separate object. Each face is parented to its parent's face, so like here, let me turn on this. So this face is parented to this one, which is parented to this one, and so on. And then the chain just keeps going. Which turns out very well. Like, this looks like something... well, maybe not an Iron Man effect, but... you know, something maybe along those lines. Which also means, if I do this, that looks more Iron Man-ish. As we can see, here are like the deviations from the path. This is where the seams should be. Now, if I was using the vertex method, all of these parts would be very stretched out because of that. So I need to find a good way of fixing that, but for the time being, it's pretty cool. I think it's just that. Let me reset that to there. So yeah, both versions are good. This one took a whole lot. It's a lot more expensive to do because there's a lot more math. It took a lot longer to figure out. So I do like the vertex method. I do want to see if I can fix that up so that it just straight up works. But yeah, this version is, it's not bad. Not bad. I'll probably post this one tomorrow. This one was made before the shirt version. But, yeah. It's cool. And it's also more expensive. As we can see here, if I try to put on the human model, it really, it's laggy. It's not quite the 30 frames per second that I was aiming for. Let's take a look at you. Like this. It looks really, really cool. I don't need to worry about the... I don't need to worry about any of the vertex stretching because it just works. In the famous words of Todd Howard. This took so long to figure out. But again, now it finally works. One of the downsides is that all of these are not merged. I could add in a merge by distance node. Whoops. A weld node. I keep forgetting that that's what it's named in the modifier panel. But the one downside is it causes a little bit of snapping right there, which I should have that be a lot less, so that it's a little less annoying when you see that happen. So here it's just that, and then do, and then it reforms quite well. Oh, that's interesting. So here, oh, okay, it diverges. That is pretty cool. Now what I want to try next is implementing the edge distance algorithm. So edge vertices, get the distance from there to there, put it into the end cost. Then I'll also need to multiply it again so that the loop ID is at least somewhat accurate. It won't be great, but it'll be a bit better than before. Oh, this is going to be laggy. Oh, actually, it's not that bad. But we can see here that the algorithm feels quite a bit more natural. Even if I need to turn this up a bit more. So here, if we see this part happen, it looks, again, more like realistic string. What the heck? Oh, yeah, that's from the error. Some parts get lost. It's also interesting how, picking that, we get this kind of accordion effect. That's not the right way to describe it. But since it is using the correct distance, that happens. So, yeah. Right here, if I triangulate this, the entire mesh, this will make it a lot more expensive, but it also looks quite a bit cooler. And I should probably implement that into the coat version. Oh, dang, that's a lot of errors. Because these are probably better having it be triangulated. Because what's the quickest point between 2 points? The quickest path between 2 points? It's a straight line. Well, if you have quads, that won't always be the case. So now, according to the algorithm, if we look at the wireframe, it could either choose to go through this edge, or it could do a diagonal if that one is closer, which is better. So yeah, let me go and plug this back in again so that we have the accurate version. But yeah, a lot of math behind this one. Let's see. Oh, it looks so good. Just seeing all the parts come together perfectly. And if I disable the rotation once again so that we just see the scale, we should see... Ah, the scale is not enabled. No, it is enabled. Oh, wait. I need to turn the fall off on, but turn the rotation off, because I forgot to put that as a thing. So here, oh, it looks like little hands. That's cool. So if we go over here, and then deploy it, it goes do 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 do, which is really, really cool. What if I turn this up to like 50? So that it'll take 50 vertices for it to complete the animation. So there it's just do 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 do, and then that happens, which is again so cool. Then we do just a little bit of rotation so that it won't clip into like the original arm if it's there. So here I'll have an original arm. Just as that, I'll use a displace modifier. Whoop. Displace. And I'll set it to 2.01. And then negative. Man, that is... I think, yeah, this is the size of a regular human, which means that Blender's dimensions are very... They're accurate, but they feel like they're for buildings in terms of their default settings rather than for humans. Which Unreal has the exact opposite problem, where everything's in centimeters instead of meters. While I kind of would prefer if the default setting for like cubes, like here's the default cube compared to a human arm. It's absolutely massive. Because the cube is 2 meters wide. Now that is 1 meter, which is a little bit better, you know, Minecraft block style, which that's what the default cube, in my opinion, should be. It should be 1 meter because the grid is 1 meter. But if we set this to 0.1, that is 10 centimeters, which is much more human scale. I believe that's a decimeter, which I never see people use, even though it seems very, very useful. Alright, centimeters are too small, meters are too big for, like, scaling things on a human scale, so decimeters are good. There should be a more advanced snapping algorithm. I wonder if there is a custom increment. Oh no, there's still no custom increment. Edge center, edge perpendicular, volume, face, edge, vertex. Interesting. Okay. Absolute grid snap. That's also interesting. Maybe I'll make a right-click select post about that. Alright. So, yes, here, once again, that does that. So if you want to make like a cyberpunk kind of, you know, I guess like, what would this be? Like a kind of, oh, that would be cool. Having a cloaking effect that does that. Here, let me go and use a refractive thing. Let's go to transmission, change it to 1. And then yes, let's go and turn that down. So oh, that could look really cool. Let's set the IOR to like 1.1. And then let's enable the world background. So here, if you want to have like a cloaking ability, that kind of shows up like a nanotech scanning effect. Goes like that, and then do. And then your character, all of a sudden, it has the cloak enabled. That could be cool, or I don't know, just like cloth formation effect. So if you want your character to like put on a stealth suit, it could just go do. Which I guess a texture switch would be a little bit more useful, but this looks cooler because it actually comes off of the effect. So yeah, maybe having it be the exact like skin surface isn't the best idea. Maybe you want to give it some depth using a solidify node. That does not look the best. Maybe I need to use a smooth by angle node. That's the replacement for auto smooth. Blender 4.1, which is better because that means we can do it after geonodes, which before we could not. But having, yeah, the naming change will take some getting used to. So here we have, That looks fractal-ish. Very fractally, which is cool. So let me change this to be once again, let's go over to this part of the algorithm. Set to 0.1, just to see what this part looks like. So it's do. So yeah, tons of cool stuff. And again, the cloth formation version, I think, looks the best. Oh, that looks so cool! Like, the pattern from it being cell, or face-based, not cell-based, is, quite cool. I still think that my, parent transform option is still a little bit bugged. Because I should compare... No, it does still kind of make sense. Let me think about that for a second. There was... When I was implementing the rotation algorithm, there was one bug that I made which made it so that all these would be completely even with their parent, leading to like a, it was basically a UV map kind of effect. So in a case like this where it clips through there, that would be very useful. Let me try setting this to like 0.1, then having a rotation value. The problem is, since this is accurate, it keeps applying that rotation over and over, so it always ends up in a kind of a curl, which may not, not exactly what I want. So maybe I'll use a ping pong node, and then I will multiply the ping pong so that it'll only rotate a little one of the parent parts. So here, if we do that, it should, but it's not straightening out. So I'll need to figure that part out. And we get that very interesting look, where it's like, Not quite the best. We set it to be like that, it's... Yeah. But it would be cool. Oh wait, I just need to... Yeah, maybe I just need to disable it every so... steps. So let me get the loop ID. I'm going to use a... No, a divide node. Divide? Yeah, divide node, then a fraction, then a greater than, which means that every so parts of the loop, so every like 3 vertices, or in this case 5, let's set this to be 0.5, it just won't do that rotation. So here, let me set it to be like 15. This will make it so that a certain amount just will not rotate. It's still rotating. Okay, what's going on? Okay, interesting. Okay. So some of them are not rotating, but all the other ones are making that happen. So it's do. Divide is just multiply with decimals. True, true. Can you make an object endlessly unwrap layers of itself? I was thinking about that, and yes. That could happen. Yep. Yeah, I'll try that. So let me have the normal version of the effect. I'll set this to be like, it'll take 30 frames for this to happen. So here, I'll just take this part, go to 0, make sure that's set to the end here. Then this will be set to 0. And then I'll just have a copy of the effect where the animation is moved over. Yeah, so that's just happening. Or actually, wait. I just need to have a version that's set to 1 so that I can have the animation version doing its job again and again. So here, let's do that. The animation was way too fast. So let's go and change that. Okay, let's see this now. I think it'll still be, yeah, still way too fast. It's good when you have to slow down the effect. So here, and then maybe I'll go and keyframe it as soon as it goes out of frame. So here, There we go. Oops, just had a little glitch. So yeah, it will keep doing that until the end of days. It'll keep unwrapping. And I could make every single unwrap a different color, and then layer them and all that cool stuff. But I could also make it if I duplicate. Here, this may be cool. I can make it so that it redoes the effect. Oh, dang, and I need to do that as well. Okay, so if I set this to be like 15, that'll give us a more accurate... There we go, that's a bit better. I'll just go and do this so that it'll end at the same time. I can make it so that this duplicate here forms into place. Just in a more subtle fashion than the other one. So how would I do that? I would set that to be like 0.1. So that happens. So that one will reform right at the time it needs to. And then I'm just worried about, yeah, the clipping. Because it won't slide perfectly. Maybe I can just make it so that when it's revealed... That's why I need the align to parent part of this. Because how do I make it so that's aligned to the parents again? Do I just set that to 0? I mean, I guess that works, technically. Yeah, basically... Wow, okay. Cool. I'm going to use a mix node so that I can mix between... Hey, mix actually worked! Before, when you would try to get the context, the search would be wrong. Oh, they fixed it. That's really good. I'm happy. If I plug this into here, this will make it so that the rotation will be defaulted, I believe. Here, let's see. We should see that this tries to align with... Oof. Yeah, so... Yes, technically it's doing its job. Where it's all trying to align perfectly with... Or, wait a second. Oh, there's still the... Okay. Even though that looks kind of cool. I'm not going to concern myself with that right now. But yeah, for that part, yeah, let's not do that just because... Too glitchy for my liking. So here, once again, let me unhide that part so that we can just have it constantly unravel. I can actually just remove you and you, set this to shade smooth, and then use a weld node here, set it to 0.01. Oof, that's rough. Looks like there are some minuscule inaccurate... Oh, that's because it's before the solidify. Or after. Nope, still a few little, issues. Oh, I need a shade smooth. Duh. And then I need to add in a shade smooth by angle. There we go. That's a bit better. There we go. Even though it looks... Oh, okay, that's because it starts off like that, so I just need to make it so that it's truly invisible. Yep. You can still see a little bit of the, like, startup snap, but it's fine. It's an onion. But yeah, also, I should have shown this off before, but I can decide which parts are the start points. So let's go and assign all of these parts as start points, which might look weirder, but... Oh yeah, that looks really, really weird. But you can make it so that any part is the start point for the unraveling. So here I can put it directly on the seam. So here, when it disables, it could be like that, and then just do-do-do-do. like that, which is really, really cool. You work a lot with geonodes. Do you know a way to set a vertex group with geonodes? I need a vertex group for a subset for a physics simulation, but I can't get that part working. Do you know of a way to set a vertex group with geonodes? I need to think about that for a second. Like, setting a vertex group. I think you may be able to... Like, vertex groups are not, classic attributes, but let's do a little test. Yeah, a little test. So let's set up a simple armature. Or, now let's just use a regular vertex group. So here I'll just have a mask thing, which will only happen where a vertex group is. So with this geonode setup, I'm going to... Excuse me? Sign? Yeah. Okay, no, it is working. Here, let me subdivide this. So that's... Here we go. Here, let me set this up correctly. So that we can see both sides. So here will be 1, the other side will be set to 0. So here we can see that those two are being deleted. But if we store named attribute, which is the name of the vertex group, we can see that we can modify it. I'm just not sure if we can create a vertex group from scratch. That when you apply it, it'll go straight to here. Because vertex groups are not regular attributes just yet. The Blender devs are trying to figure out a way to do that, because vertex groups are very essential. They're needed for all rigs. So generating one there, I'm not sure. Actually, let's see if we can do that. Let's just make just a group. Let's say A will be on the point. Let's apply this and see if A is now transferred. No, it's not in the vertex group category. It's in the vertex float category. Which means that, I mean, can that be used? No, it cannot. That is unfortunate. So you can set pre-existing groups. So for your cloth simulation thing, that might work. I'm not sure if, I think simulations, like the classic ones, happen after or before geometry nodes, so I'm not sure if they're compatible at all. But if you want to do that, that's how you would. You would take a pre-existing group and then modify it using a store named attribute node. Just a little quirk with Blender for the moment, but they do plan on changing it so that all the attributes you can just edit with geonodes, which means that we maybe will be able to put vertex groups into, or, you know, any geonodes thing into actual modifiers, which I hope that they'll just make a way to put modifiers directly into geometry nodes. Like just drag and drop this from here into the node group. Because that would be nice to have even right now. Because here, if we have a geonodes group before and after, it's basically doing the same thing. It just have the group and then modifier and then another thing. It's just inconvenient because this one it has to be a separate node, so you can't have it as an asset. But if we just had the modifiers, like even the old versions, even the non-attribute compatible ones, in here, with like a little, I don't know, like a wrapper or a converter to make it so that the geometry will just work, it would be so useful. So useful. Just to have it all in one group that you could make into an asset. But yeah. Yes. I think that may be everything. We're at 50 minutes, so I think I might call the stream now. I'm not entirely sure. Here were some of the test versions for the face neighboring effect. It was very difficult to figure out. I've deleted most of the test versions just because it was so painful. Let me go back to the cloth unfolding effect, just to end on the pretty version of this. So let's not save that, go back over to here. As long as I can modify existing groups, that works. Okay, that should be good. Again, there's also the chance that it doesn't work with Blender's old simulations. I think I've tested that a little bit, but maybe that changed with the other things. One thing that's annoying me is every time I boot this file up again, I don't have the right settings for the glowy part. So let me just go and fix that really quick. 3.25. There we go. Let me save that right now. And also, the new principled node. I am so happy we finally got subpanels in here so that the node, they keep adding stuff to this node, which is good. We get more options. But having all of them out like this, that's bad. That's way too much. So now, oh, and you have to click on every single one of those instead of just dragging down. I think they were going to fix that, but that might be a 4.1 thing. But yeah, subpanels are very good because, again, we can have them in our own node groups in 4.0, but we can't have them in the modifiers because they didn't implement that until later on in 4.1. So if we have a panel, I can just put the inputs into the panel here, so that then if it's like, oh, I don't want to see all these parts, you can just collapse them, and we can also put another panel for the inputs. Let me put this up here. Oh, we can't have... Okay, yeah. That's another little quirk of it that I think will be fixed later on. But yeah, this is good. Here, let me go over here. So if you want to just say, bye-bye, I don't want to see that, just donk, and it just collapses into a nice little panel. You might want it, you might not. It's up to you. But yeah, I like it. Keeps things nice and organized. Very nice. Okay, I think that will be everything. Here's the effect once again. It looks so good. I need to bug fix it because there's still the stretching problem. But other than that, I am very, very happy with this. Thank you all for watching. I hope you had a fun time watching this. I hope it was educational, even if the nodes for this are still very messy and very, you know, very out there. But yeah, it's... Once I get it fully figured out, I might do a live stream breakdown of it, but we will see. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.